Am I on? All right, I hope I'm on. Hello friends, Jeff here and welcome to Squadron and welcome to Squadron Facebook Live. It's another week that passed. It's Friday, the weekend is ahead of us. It's a beautiful day outside and we're going to talk about paint. Now I got questions, many questions by people like what paint do you use, what paint do you recommend, what is the best paint out there? And the answer to the question is a little bit more complicated than it should be. So I would like to share in the short moment I have, because if I have to talk about paint in detail, we will be here for a week. So in a short period of time, let's go to the essentials and let me share some of my findings over the years, or some of the assessments I made working with paint. Now the first paint I was ever introduced to many years ago as a kid was Humbrol. You know, the little cans, and I'm sure the generation, or people of my generation, or the generation older than the normal generation, they're familiar with Humbrol. And Humbrol was the only game out there to paint your model, and it was meant for hand brushing. That was way before the airbrush made its entrance, so this was the paint to go to. And it's still out there today. They didn't change the formula, they didn't change the concept. It's still absolutely good paint to hand brush. Now, can you airbrush this? Yes, but I would not recommend it for a model. I would more recommend it like if you do like a base or a diorama or groundwork. This is a good way to put some of that in your airbrush and take care of business. But other than that, this is absolutely very good paint. That's what I use now to paint accessories, and also because of the paint itself, the density of the paint and the pigmentation, it's very, very good paint to dry brush. This is my to-go paint when I dry brush armor or figures or whatever. So very good stuff. Then when I was introduced to an airbrush finally, I was like I was still in my teens. Very funny story. I'll tell you that in a later segment of Facebook down the line. But the paint that I got in touch with, or how do you say that, was Spectra. And again, the older generation will recognize the small bottles. Very good paint, was an enamel, and that was meant more so for airbrushing. You could also hand paint it with this, but it was more developed, I guess, for airbrushing. Now, it had some I think it was also part of testers. You know, for some reason they were affiliated. Testers, Model Master, and Pacta. It's about the same paint. And talking about testers, now testers, whenever I got my hands on testers, I thought that was a whole new world that opened up to me, because they had the paint I wanted. It was just, everything worked out. And for the first 25, 30 years of my career, if I can call it that, I used only testers, Model Master. Very, very, absolutely very good paint. Even today, they're still around, not maybe in the same volume than you used to, and some of the colors disappeared, but model paint, testers is absolutely great. William and George, I see you're tuned in, so thank you. I'm gonna just, okay. So at the same time that at the same time that Model Master did his entrance, there was also the acrylics start to pop up. And I never was a big fan back then of acrylics, because to me acrylic is water paint, and plastic and water, they hate each other. So in my mind, it didn't connect. It was a mental thing, and I had a lot of mental issues back then, so just kidding. But that was something that it didn't connect. You cannot water paint on a plastic model. So I never really got into it until a friend one day said, you know, I got a bottle of, I think it was Flockwill paint. Again, the older generation, they will remember Flockwill paint. He said, why don't you try it? And I said, no, I really don't want to, because I stick with my enamels. He said, no, please try it, you won't be disappointed. And back then I was painting, I think it was a Spitfire or a Hurricane in the Battle of Britain colors, and I just, let me try this. So he gave me this color, it was like duck egg green, remember still until today. And I don't know what happened, maybe the paint was not all that good anymore, or I mixed it wrongly, or I didn't thin it enough, I don't know. But the whole thing bombed, you know, the whole thing was like an orange peel, it started to flake off, it was just a mess. So I swore that I would never touch acrylics again. I didn't even want to be associated with somebody who painted acrylics. I just didn't have anything to do with acrylics. until I met Gaston Bernal. And for guys out there, you all know Gaston Bernal. He was the grandfather of the decals, Aeromaster decals, Eagle Strike. The guy knew his business, and he became some sort of a mentor to me when I came to the United States. Very nice man. He knew what he was doing. He knew the industry, and he was also dabbling with paint, Aeromaster paint, and he had enamel and he had acrylic. So again, he forced me to use it, and lo and behold, it worked. Absolutely great paint. The acrylic was the best acrylic paint I ever used back then. So a whole new world opened up then. And then I got more and more into the acrylics. Sadly, down the line, Aeromaster paint disappeared. I think there were some, I don't know the real story, but I think there were some issues with production. So eventually the paint disappeared from the market. And it's sad because it would still have been a compatible paint just now. And then again, on top of that, Gaston Bernal passed away a couple years ago or a year ago, and that's a big loss for the industry. So now we're moving on to Tamiya. Now we all know that Tamiya produces perfect bottle kits. Who's there? Hi to you, Vernon and Mark. Glad you're in here or tuning in. Good to see you. No, I can't see you. Like I said the first time, I can't see you. Okay, Tamiya. So Tamiya paint, I don't have to introduce that. Tamiya paint is, to me, is the most easiest paint to use. And if you're a novice or if you're afraid of airbrushing, if you're afraid of working with paints, try Tamiya. It's very forgiving, easy to apply. Although Tamiya doesn't have the broad range of colors, they don't have the federal standards, they don't have the RLM colors that everybody else have. They still have a broader range of basic colors that you can mix and match to get the color you desire. So if you, for instance, when you look at their instruction sheet, at the paint instructions, they will give you the right formula to basically mix two colors with the right mixing ratio. So you get the color you desire, and that's what you want. Plus on top of it, Tamiya smells the best. You know, I like to sniff things. So Tamiya smells the best. It's another mental thing. I like to sniff things, and Tamiya of all the acrylic colors is the best smell in town.
This explains a lot, Jeff.
Oh yeah, it is what it is. So what else? Okay, and then of course, how can we forget? There is Vallejo. Now Vallejo is, up until now, I think they dominated the market. They know what they're doing. They have absolutely a great product. They have like well over 1,000 colors in their model air, in their model color. So there are just thousands of colors to choose from. Plus they have their washes, their pigments, their earth stuff that they produce. The only pet peeve I have a little bit, and that's just nitpicking. It's just me. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. The only thing is, when you're not careful, when you mask, they tend to peel a little easier than other paint brands that I know. But again, this might just be me. So always, whenever you use it, always make sure that it hardens completely. Let it dry. Give it enough dry time before you start masking. Other than that, absolutely great paint. Talking about great paint, their metal color line, these guys here, their metal color line is absolutely the best thing out there in acrylic. If you're familiar with Alclat, the lacquer, then this is the next best thing. And if you never tried it, I strongly advise you to pick up one of those bottles and experiment with it. You will be pleasantly surprised the result that it will give you. So now, then we have another one. Another one is mission models. No, before we go there, there's some more stuff out there like AK Interactive. They have a lot of good paints. They have enamels as well as acrylics, and they have enamel washes, which I like. So also their oils, the Abteilung 502, which is a subsidiary of AK Interactive, they are the best oils in town. So again, very, very great. There is ammo from MIG, same thing. They recently released their Real Colors line, which is a mix of acrylics and lacquer. Don't know how they do it. I'm not a chemist, but it seems to work. Very, very good results. You can't go wrong with either of one. And then of course, like I said, Mission Models. They've been around for a while. It's a company based in the United States. And then more and more you see them pop up. They are absolutely,
It's made in USA.
oh, made in the USA, yes. They're made, actually a paint in the US, made in the USA. And recently, as of this month, they're available at Squadron, so if you want to check it out, please do. This is an excellent paint. More and more I start using it, and again, top notch. So if you're interested, go to our website, check it out. We'll add some more colors as we go.
Jeff, is this the one that's like enamel?
No, it's an acrylic.
It's an acrylic.
It's an acrylic, yes. Now, the difference between Nissan models and Vallejo, I think Vallejo has some sort of a latex kind of an ingredient in there, because I think it's more, it feels more rubbery. And this you can see, once you start to sand the paint of Vallejo, you will feel that it rolls up on you a little bit. If you have to restore a little patch that you peeled off and you have to sand it smooth, there is a little bit of a rubbery touch to it. So I think that's the difference between some of the paint manufacturers and Vallejo, that they have some sort of a latex ingredient in there. What else? Okay, now last but not least, at least for some of the paint, is True Color. Now, 2 years ago, I got a couple samples, and there were some off colors, strange colors, and I got those from somebody. I don't know how I got them, but they came from True Color, and they're also an American-based company, made in America. They're in Phoenix, Arizona, and those guys are around for a couple of years, and they started out in, I think, with trains and automotive paint and all that kind of stuff. But more and more, they started to dabble into the aviation and into the armor part of the hobby. And I got that paint and I tinkered with it, but I never paid attention to it, and I pushed it on the side. So now about a month or so ago, I saw those colors again. I said, well, I didn't have much going on that day. Well, actually my boss sitting there. So I was very busy that day. And I made some special time to do this. So I actually tried to play with this again. And whenever I start airbrushing some of the spare parts that I had laying around, it blew me away how good this paint is. Now this is a lacquer. This is lacquer paint, and I already hear some of you guys thinking like, "Oh, lacquer! I don't want to deal with lacquer. It stinks. It's a mess. It's aggressive." No, you should try this, because first of all, it doesn't smell as bad, and second of all, this is absolutely one of the best paints I ever laid my eyes on. I mean, this is absolutely great paint. Also, more and more they come out with more like, I don't know how to say this, like
sets.
Packaged sets, yes, for aviation, for armor. But the paint itself is very smooth and microscopical thin. And just to give you an idea, the first thing I always do when I airbrush paint or a new brand of paint is trying to do the masking test, if I can peel some paint off, because that is very important to me. Nothing is worse than when you paint a model and you put masking tape on there and you peel it off and you flake off a piece of paint and you have to start all over again. Big mess. You've all been there. We've all been there. It's a mess. It's annoying. So the first thing I always do is try to do the peel test. Now, I airbrushed a piece of an airplane, put masking tape on there. After about 15-20 minutes, ripped it off, nothing happened. Did it again, a little more, peel it off again, nothing. Then I really started massaging the tape into the paint, and I peeled it off, and I got a little flake that came off, which is absolutely mind-boggling, but I was able to peel a little bit off. But the funny thing is, the kicker is, when I try to feel, because when you peel off a piece like a flake of paint, you can feel the edges. There is always the surrounding edges, and there's like a little tiny indentations where the thickness of the paint you can see. I couldn't feel anything, and when I held it to the light just to see where the flake peeled off, it was not there. So that's how thin and smooth that paint is. So again, as of January or February, we're gonna sell the paint. It's gonna be available on our website at Squadron, and. If you're not familiar, if you're a little scared, just at least invest in 1 or 2 bottles and try it. You will be pleasantly surprised. So at the end of the day, what is the best paint? I don't know. That's up to you. If you're comfortable with something, even if it's paint that is 30 years old and you still are happy with it, go for it. Because satisfaction, that's all that counts. All the paints that I just mentioned are absolutely compatible with each other. They're great, competitive with each other. They're great. There is not one bad one. So if you're familiar with something, stick with your guns, and the rest, maybe you can experiment once in a while with something new. But if you're happy, just keep doing it, and that's all that counts. Now we're going to go on more with the more important thing of the day, which is the raffle. Now, the raffle, as you well know, we play this every week. So last week's question was, what was on the new Edward P51D Mustang on the box art, on the airplane, on the nose of the airplane, there was the word Frenesi. And my question was, what is Frenesi? For one, what is it? And second question was, who created it? So the correct answer was, it's a song, the Frenesi song. It means frenzy or something, but it's a song by Artie Shaw. So a lot of the guys had the answer correct. So we're gonna raffle off Gustav here. It's not Gustav, it's his brother. Also, we're gonna raffle off the travel set, which is very nice. And on top of that, we got the cutting mat. So I got one here. You can draw. You have an innocent hand. There we go. And the winner is Mark Hydro. And I know Mark Hydro. Mark, if you're watching, you won the travel set, the cutting mat, and good old Gustav's brother. So let me know. I know you live in Miami. As a matter of fact, you're a very good friend of mine. So congratulations. But still, email me your address so I can get that thing out. Maybe your wife, Mayfair, can put it under the tree for you. So for next week's raffle, again, it's very difficult these days to come up with something because you can Google it. So next week we might change something to the raffle, that we do it differently. But this week I would like to so just like everybody, and Christmas is coming up, so everybody is familiar with the movie White Christmas, Bing Crosby, Danny Kaye. So in the beginning, when the movie starts, there is this scene during World War II, and they're having a performance in front of some soldiers. And all of a sudden, the Germans start shelling their position. So Bing Crosby and Danny Kaye have to run for their lives, and eventually Danny Kaye ends up saving Bing Crosby from a falling down building, but he hurts himself. And my question is, what part of his body does he hurt, or did he hurt? So again, when Danny Kaye pushes Bing Crosby out of the way to prevent him from being under a falling building, what part of his body did Danny Kaye hurt? And that's going to be the question for the next week raffle. So if you have the answer, please leave it in your comments. Or send me an email or whatever. Just make sure that the answer gets to me, and then we'll get you this. Next week we'll raffle, since we talked about paint, next week we'll raffle off this set of USA basic colors. Very nice set, very usable. So if you're the winner, this is what's coming to you. Other than that, that's it for now. Again, the same old things. Okay, let's see, I got a new message here. I can't read your
comment now and comment.
Oh yeah. I saw that in the comments. Most of the comments happen during the live show, like right now. I get most of the comments. But for the ones who miss it, or ones who can't be here right now and will watch it later, please just leave a comment in there. Leave your answer in there, and your absolutely what's the word? I don't even know the word, to take part in the raffle. How do you say that?
Participate. To
participate in the raffle. Just leave a comment with your answer, and then you'll participate in the raffle. And for now, please, tell your friends and family, subscribe on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Please subscribe, tell your friends and family, tell everybody. Go to our website, that's Squadron.com. As a matter of fact, we just got a new container in. We just stopped unloading it, so there's a lot of new stuff. It was a consolidated container, so we have a lot of brands coming in from overseas. So please.
That'll be visible tomorrow morning.
Oh yeah, it will be visible on the website tomorrow morning. So please check out our website and just go from there. A lot of new stuff. And then, oh yeah, damn, I'm really today I'm out of it. It's because Gwen is sitting here. Always makes me feel uncomfortable. Anyway, tomorrow up until the last week of December, we have our pop-up shop attached here to the building. So everybody who lives in the area, in the Dallas area, please stop by from 9 to 3, drink some coffee, have some bad cookies, and then we'll talk more or browse the store, whatever you want. It will be there. But for now, I'm going to leave it at that. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe, stay warm, and I'll see you guys next week, Friday, 12 o'clock Central Time. Jeff here, signing off. And what do I do now? Because I'm still live. This is extra, people. This is extra. Okay, I have to, finish.